Welcome back to the 2016 Improved Production Nationals live stream here on Blendline TV. Proudly presented by Castrol Edge this weekend. There's a recovery out on circuit as we wait for the under 2 litres to come on. A revised schedule down from 10 laps to 9 probably means we're just going to get a bit more excitement over what's going to be 9 intense laps to decide our champion, Darren.
Well, it has been the under 2 litre guys that have behaved themselves today. They've all been clean, good races. The outright guys or the over 2 litre guys have had bits of mayhem going on all throughout, particularly today's proceedings. The under 2 litre guys will be out on track very, very soon, and they've got their rightful battle for the under 2 litre class, and within that is also 0 to 1600, but it's all been grouped together in under 2 litre, and because they've got nearly 40 cars, or they had over 40 cars, Bryce Budge has gone home with clutch issues. One of the Datsuns has gone home. His name just escapes me now. I should have had that in my mind, but has gone home as well. So we go to this race with 40 cars on the grid. So they're not too far away from being sent out from the pit lane. But what a ripping field. And although those clouds look a little bit dark across the horizon there, I don't think we've got any threat of change of weather between now and the end of the event.
We were a bit worried maybe 10 minutes ago because we got that sort of misty rain under the sunshine, which was a bit strange, but the cars are about to be coming out for this final race of the weekend for them. It's going to be Graham Cox leading from pole. He's got a couple of race victories under his belt already. Bob Jowd has chased him home every time, so those Civics are going to be ones to watch as they roll out. They're on screen now, and Darren, we've got a big list of cars lining up for this grid.
Haven't we ever? And I tell you what, Graham Cox and Bob Jowd, really, if it's not one of those two guys that's on top of the podium, then I'll eat my hat. Lucky I'm not wearing one, hey Dan, but at the moment these guys have dominated here this weekend and are certainly trying to get their way there. Graham Reynolds will sit there in position number 3, and he will try and have the maximum impact he can off the start of this race with Simon O'Dell Fontana right alongside. David Walden in the number 19 will be off position number 5 to Matty Harris in the number 28. And Matt Harris will come out of number 28 of position number 6, and he's in the Civic there as well. And then we have Benjamin Algie in the number 77, which is a Toyota Sprinter out of New South Wales as well. It's number 60, Peter Casato. He's out of position number 10, which is a little Ford Escort from Queensland. And Harrison Cooper in the number 8. He's in the Honda Integra DCS, a New South Wales competitor. Out of 11 is Grant Gellant. We go to Graham Boehm. Ian Price, who we talked about, out of position number 13 in car number 7, the little Ford Escort as well, also a New South Wales competitor. The New South Wales competitors are pretty heavy in the under 2 litre. It's a big scene in the State Series under 2 litre. Then we go to Alan Saint, and it's Brad Harris. Paul Griswatts, who is the reigning Victorian under 2 litre champion. He's out of position number 16 in car number 53. Then it's Darcy Wade, back to Paul Redmond, Ian Williamson, Troy Marvin, Matt Hyde, Jason Bockman, Mike Fitzgerald, Shane Litchfield, Wade Reynolds, David Noble out of 26. 27 sees Brett Waters. Scott Dean out of 28. David McKigan out of 29. 30th will be Gary Edwards. Robert Wilson in the 58 out of 31. Anthony Wilkin out of 32. Michael Hopp in the Starlet out of position number 33. Bruce Woodward in the Golf will be out of position number 34. Phil Morris, who has been multiple outright champion here in the Matthew Flinders Plate, has come back to 2 litre racing here in Improved Production this year, and Phil will be out of position number 35. Craig Wildridge, Chris Evans and Jeff Hansen round out the 39 that will take the lights in just a couple of moments' time.
They've managed to get Jeff Hansen back out there. We'll have to see if he's on the screen.
Yep.
Because they've had to do a lot of work to that car. A brand new build that they've been just trying to get done as quickly as they possibly could to be able to get it out here. Another one to watch coming through is Wade Reynolds, who had some fuel pump issues earlier on in the weekend. A stunning drive from him through the field. Really showed off what he was able to do. We've got people tuning in on the live stream on Facebook. Hello to all of you. We've got Shane Litchfield being cheered for. Gareth Davis is going to, looks like, tag a few people actually to get it out. Bring it home, Casato. So a few people to look out for, but it's going to be Graham Cox and Bobby Jowett up the front. They're going to be hard to beat, and we're just going to need to watch for them. I wonder if Jowett's going to be able to make a move. He really needs to try to get in front in the early stages, because that's where he really can get in front and lead from there, and maybe hold up Cox, who obviously has a bit more corner pace, but not by much, only a couple of car lengths.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's just going to be the who breathes deep at the right time and pulls on those belts and gets themselves nice and ready to get up on the wheel. And I would suggest we're only about 15 seconds away from that happening as the final cars are making their way down onto the grid. Really, really good sign to see just such a full grid of cars each time the improved production cars have hit the track this weekend. Testament to the category nationally and how strong it is that they can come together for this one weekend a year and really put on a massive show. This is the under 2 litres brought to us by the Isola de Capri here for this race. Say good day to Eddie and the crew down in Cowes at the Isola de Capri. Great restaurant, great Italian food, and we've got a jumper in the back of the field. We won't worry about that because in 9 laps time it may not get there. We've got a staller there as well. Let's hope we don't get anyone hit that. There's yellow flags being waved, and away goes that Datsun 1200 coupe, but it is going to be
Cox who leads it into turn 1. So he swings across the front of Jowett. There's Harris on the outside of Algie, who has managed to get a move on him. He'll be one to watch as well in the Toyota 86, because Algie generally gets a good run if he can get himself into a rhythm, and he needs to make up a few positions. You can see Walden there has got himself up to 3rd place. So in front of Odell, Fontana and Reynolds has dropped back a couple of positions off the start. It's not been a good one for him at the beginning of this race. He'll have a lot of work to do as we come down towards Honda Corner for the first time. Jowett still having a look. He's going to the outside. He's not going to get it done there. And the rest of this big field comes on through.
Simon Odell, Fontana and Gavin Reynolds there trying to impress on these guys at the front. But these 2 front-wheel drive cars, the red and the blue of it all in the Honda Civics, have been the absolute class of this field all throughout this weekend. And I tell you what, if you're a betting man and you put it anywhere other than on those guys, there's Paul Griswatz, current Victorian champion. Good to see him having a red hot go. He started out of 15th, I think it was, 16th in fact, and he'll be hoping to come on song now as we look back down. This is the guys just inside the top 10.
Yep.
That's car number 8, Harrison Cooper. Another Honda
Harris
product.
Down the inside. He got the job done on Cusato, so he slips back a position in the Escort, and Harris continues this march forward. He's made up a couple of positions in this opening lap, and next on his list is Ian Price. So he's got to try to get up to him as quickly as he can to keep making up these positions. But at the front, Bob Jowett and Graham Cox, are moving away. Their battle is going to be on very soon. We'll have a look at that towards the end of the race because there's so much going on in the mid-pack. Just look at these guys starting to fan out at the moment. There's Algie. Here we go. Back down the inside comes Cooper. Tries to make the move. Harris just went round him there, though.
Gee, this little Suzuki Swift GT is a weapon, isn't it? Goes out wide, and so wide that he spins.
Oh, he's gone.
There's the commentator's curse. Sorry about that, Will. But he gets a gear and continues back on with it. Front-wheel drive, and out he comes from there. Comes back on carefully, but that's put himself well out of contention.
Yep.
You'd have to suggest for today and Nationals next year for him. But here's the battle, the 19 and the 26. So that's David Walden and Simon Odell.
With Reynolds behind. So this is the battle for 3rd place in the race. Walden has managed to get himself a good launch after starting on the 3rd row of the grid in 5th place. So he's managed to launch up to 3rd. He's got to try to put something together to get to those 2 cars in front as Jowett is starting to lose ground. 2 Cox out in the lead, and Odell Fontana pushing incredibly hard past Asia there. He used all of the road and picked up a bit of grass, it looked like.
Yeah, this is a tough drive. This is a leaf spring rear vehicle, this thing that he's driving out there. So that's a tough ask in itself to be pushing these around to be able to make the adjustments. The RX-7 goes through for the time being. And, that RX-3 gets pushed wide. Was the 26 missed the gear or something then? Because now we've got the number 90 ranging up hard. That's great. Gavin Reynolds, who started off P3, he went backwards off the line and is now trying to fight back for what is rightfully his.
Yeah, he wants to get back up there. He's got a Civic like the 2 litres, so he probably expects that he should be able to run with them. Cox has obviously got the thing hooked up though. A 1 minute 45.9 for the first real flying lap, so he is on fire. He's managed to pull out 1.1 seconds already in this race. That's going to be close to some of the quickest laps we've seen around here.
Well, yesterday both these guys were down on the 1:45.88, and let me tell you that is not just resetting the under 2 litre lap record. That's grabbing it and shaking it until it bleeds. That is really giving it a red hot go.
So we see the rest of the field coming through. There's our leaders. So Graham Cox leads. Bob Jowett in second place. Jowett, a New South Wales and national champion in the under 2 litre category. Graham Cox trying to get it himself.
You know, these two guys in the Civics out in front of this race would qualify in the top 30 for the overs. For the over tours. They are rapid pieces of kit.
They've run them a couple of times in the New South Wales series as a combined, and they have been running inside the top 10, top 5 on occasion.
They are awesome.
They have some speed, those guys, as we take a look at Reynolds now trying to work on the back of Odell Fontana, who has ultimately lost out to Walden. We saw Odell Fontana, make that move on Walden down into MG, and then he's now dropped back behind him as we take a look further back at the field. This is the number 86, Toyota 86 coming around, which is Williamson, and he is just behind. In front of him is Redmond, so a little bit of a battle between those guys.
So these guys are battling it out for positions 17, 18, 19, 20 on the road. So not only is the pace blisteringly hot at the front, in fact the pace at the front is fast, but there's not a lot of attacking going on. This, what we're looking at now, is just maximum attack for every corner for arguing about 20th in this race.
That's it. Jowett's throwing everything he's got at it, as now 45.9 seems to be what Graham Cox wants to run at, and he is just going for it. Behind him is Jowett, who's at a 46 dead. So Jowett's picked up his pace on the third lap of this race, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be enough, as we see Griswold's now coming down the hill. Wade Reynolds there as well. Behind them is Troy Marvin in the Escort, and they are just on the bubble of the top 10, actually 15th place. So a little bit further down the field for those guys than we probably expected them to see, having understood some of the pace that they've had this year.
There's our race leaders now. They've got nearly half race. In fact, they'd have to be half race distance there. Finished now. 9 laps. A tidy little lead now for Cox. Last time round, 1.2 seconds over his fellow contender, Bob Jowett. And these two guys are both New South Wales competitors, as I mentioned earlier. These two guys represent very well for their local competitions. There's Bruce Woodward. A crying shame to see car number 68 going so slowly down the straight. He's a great friend of the sport, is Bruce Woodward, and the VW Golf that he's been punting around since the early 90s looks as though it's run out of steam. Let me tell you, he'll inject plenty more steam back into it to try and get that Golf going, but unfortunately Bruce Woodward will play no further part in this race. And you know, if you took the D out of his name, he'd be B Woo-Wah.
Woo-Wah. As Price now in the Vantage Automotive Escort, he's trying to chase down that Integra in front of him. And he's been working away at this one for a little while. Price is one of those people that we may well have expected a little bit more from. And he's just going to have to try to claw his way up there. He's trying to catch up to Wade. As our leaders have come together now. So Jowett has closed in. He wasn't much quicker. He wasn't quicker on the last lap. So something must have happened to Cox through turn 2 at Southern Loop, you'd have to think.
Yeah, car's starting to move around. I wonder if he's tried to save a set of tyres for the end and it's just starting to let him down. Either that or he's just gone, let's just bring this race in a bit and we'll have a bit of a ding-dong battle all the way to the end just for Blendline TV.
That's it. Well, we know that Cox likes to show us
as
the wheel lift.
Look at that floating through the air. He's definitely trying. There's no doubt that he's trying when you do that.
You've got to love the way Cox likes to drive the car. The way he used to drive his Honda Integra, he's the only man I've seen come around Corporate Hill at Sydney Motorsport Park completely sideways, keep it on the island and stay in the lead of the race. So he doesn't mind the rear floating around on him a little bit. And look at the amount of body roll. I was surprised yesterday how much body roll his car has compared to Jowett's, but he's making it work, and that's all that matters.
They've both got a different theory on how to set these cars up. They're near identical to look at. There's Bruce Woodward just jumping over the fence in the background. That's a sad sight to see, and hope Bruce comes back next year bigger and better and stronger.
Here's Mavin and Dean having a bit of a battle. Mavin in the Escort, Dean in the Toyota, the car sales car. We saw him, he was just in front of Maven for a little while there, but now he's maybe dropping back. Of course, this is probably the longest lap race run time that these guys will have all weekend. So they've been used to 5-lap races, and you've got to go almost double the distance in this final race of the weekend. So there's a little bit more to do, and some of these guys will probably be in a little bit of pain towards the end of this race as Dean fights back on the inside, gets the job done down in MG.
Have a look at that little Toyota Yaris. This is what we've seen Liam Thompson and Alexandra Best running in the National Production Car Series, and they've done a ripping job with it all year long as well, driving for Lauren Gray Motorsport. But this car selling Yaris out there as well. They're fighting it out for 17th and 18th, those two. Paul Griswold's just up the road from them, and Fitzgerald as well. So they've got their own little battle, as have these guys. Now this is for the last step on the podium. So they've swapped. They've now swapped back again, and the red RX3 is driving away from the black RX-7, but they haven't counted on the fact that Reynolds has been there on a watching brief for about the last 4 laps, hasn't he?
He's just sitting there. It just seems like if he could get the run, he would have something on them. And don't forget as well that Gellin is just behind them as well. So he will be looking to try to get himself up there if he can drag that Escort a little bit further up. He's the one we saw with a massive amount of wheel lift during the warm-up lap. I couldn't believe how high he was getting the front left tyre off the ground as Odell Fontana continues to chase Walden down. The RX3 proving a little bit stronger through the flowing section of the circuit, but Odell Fontana seems to have a better ability at braking. As we're now looking further back at Wade under pressure from Price. We were just talking about this. Price needed to put a little bit of power down and get some lap times together to claw his way up to Wade. He's done the job, but buying in behind it is Bohm and also Saint. So we've got a 4-car battle for, what is this, 10th in the race. So the edge of the top 10, they're still fighting just as hard as our leaders.
They come around the top part of the track, traditionally known as Belinda's Terrace. Look it up if you want to know more about the history of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Steeped in history, 60 years, and we've got one of those great days of motorsport here today that we'll all remember. Were you there for the 2016 Improved Production Nationals? My word, we were. And we'll look it up on YouTube and we'll watch it all again on Blendline TV.
As Price just leads Saint over the line and ultimately gets passed by him. A few of these under 2 litre cars are really putting on a show, and one of them is Saint, who's working his way through the field. He probably deserved to be higher up than he is at the moment. Our 2 litres, there's a 2.5 second gap between the pair of them, so Cox is starting to draw out in that one. And he may well be our 2016 national champ with just a couple of laps left in it. It's so strong, his under 2 litre racing, that they've been able to have their own race meet. And Saints managed to get the job done on Wade.
Or has he?
While we were looking down, now Wade fights back on the outside.
That's a menacing little Datsun.
And he's got there.
Very menacing looking little Datsun 1200 coupe there.
Well done.
What a weapon. He's doing a fantastic job. Gee, Adam Macro raced one of these here in the local scene in the late 90s and was very, very successful.
That's
of course,
it.
Went on to race supercars and the like.
Look
at him drive away now.
Yeah.
Saint, he's got the fresh air in front of him and is out after it. So might not get himself a podium, but he's trying to cement that top 10 finish.
Now he's managed to get past. He might be able to work his way into the top 10. The cars in front are not too far away. And Bohm now to the outside of Price. Price with a little bit of lockup. That's a New South Wales battle, and Bohm gets the position away. Let's not forget, New South Wales has a very strong under 2 litre contingent, and there are many cars who haven't made the trip down who may well have been fighting with a few of these guys. There's been talk of it on the live stream because, of course, with Cox and Jowett up the front of under 2 litre, you also have a few other guys who are right there week in, week out. That's why I'm surprised about Algie, because he's been he's been right there with them all year fighting hard. And so you've got to think of people like that.
That can just be history with the track.
That's
track
it.
Can really surprise you when you go down the straight the first time. The speed that you're going, I would suggest most of these guys don't know the speed, but you just need to look halfway sideways out the car to understand you're going faster than you ever have before around the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. And the good thing here is that the consequences aren't that bad. Although you're travelling fast, there's massive runoff areas, there's hard stands, so you can continue on to bat another day. Here we've got the guys
and Cooper
running it out, and this is inside the 10, so this is for 7 and 8 on the road.
That's it, we've changed.
We've
got somebody off.
It's the Focus.
72, that is Redman. He's from 21st in the race, retiring. So that's the end of his race. He will pull out another one. There's Cooper continuing to work on the back of Algae as we come to the end of this race. They're coming towards the final lap now, our leaders, so we'll fight and pick them up. Out in front by 2.7 seconds is Cox. He's just going to run away with this one, you'd have to think. And
got
we
that
look at
great looking livery on the LG car. It really does fill the screen nicely.
Kind of a throwback to the Shell DJR cars, isn't it? As he now comes across hot.
In fact, I think that is a nod to a livery. It's just. I'm thinking I might be thinking of the Works Gazelle out of Nissan. So this is a Toyota, so it won't be that one. Yeah. But it's a similar look. He's just taken a good run onto the straight.
Yep.
And this is for 7 and 8 on the road, and we're in our final lap now. Graham Cox, who hasn't really been headed this weekend.
Yep, Cooper's going to go to the inside here and get the job done as we come round to turn 4. That's Graham Cox, our leader, the number 11 car. As we see him from inside, you can just see the lift from Siberia angle, the lift he had.
Gee, the stiffly sprung car of Cox has certainly had the wood over. Jowett seems to have gone the other way. This guy's got very stiff, it seems to be very rigid sway bar setups, whereas this guy in the blue car with his indicator on, just
Bob
politely
Jowett,
letting people go through, has seemed to have gone the opposite direction, seems to have himself set up almost like for a wet race here today, which could have happened, but didn't.
Look at the lift coming from Cox as he comes over Lukey Heights.
Isn't he?
It's got to be a celebrationary lift over Lukey Heights for the final time. Down to MG. Graham Cox from New South Wales is going to be the under 2 litre champion. I tell you what, he's wanted this one for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
At Wakefield Park, he came close, but did not quite have it in the Honda Integra. He went out and brought this Civic. He's spent a lot of time developing it with his son Jordan here at Phillip Island, and it's all paid dividends for him. He's going to be our 2016 Castrol Edge National Champion. What a race from Graham Cox.
Yeehaw! Well done, Graham Cox. That's the under 2 litre national champion. Decided. Second will be Jowett, and I tell you what, a really due second. He's done a ripping job trying to keep up with Cox all weekend long. Now let's cast our eyes down at the timesheets, because we've got third across the line now, which will be car number 19,
Bone
David
is locked
Walden.
up on our screen. Sorry, Darren. Bone had the rears locked as he tried not to slide into Wade in front of him. They're pushing Fitzgerald to the line, and here we go, coming around. This is for, what is this for in the race? About 12th place, sorry. So 12th, 11th and 10th. So this is for the final spot in the top 10, and Fitzgerald has found himself behind Hop. It's going to be a drag race between Wade and Fitzgerald to the line. Fitzgerald and Wade door to door. Wade's going to get him, and yes, he does. Just gets past him to the line. Great racing from all of our guys there. Ian Price just in behind them as well in the Zero Tolerant Motorsport car. And the under 2 litres yet again deliver a nice clean race. What a championship effort.
What a great run there. Graham Cox, congratulations. Bob Jowett, I tell you what, come back next year, Bob, because we want to see you on the Nationals in under 2 litre again. You've acquitted yourself very, very well indeed. But Cox has had the wood all weekend. Then we go to Walden.
Here's Graham Cox giving us all a wave as he comes in.
I'd be very happy. Don't hide the emotions now, Graham. If you want to have a cry, but do it right now and don't do it when you get back to the pits.
There he is. You can tell he's chuffed. When Graham Cox gets a little wry smile, you know that he knows he's done well. So, well done to him. We want to run us through the top 10, Darren.
Yeah, well, look at that in third place. Walden in the little RX3. That absolutely makes my heart beat stronger. That's fantastic to see. RX3 still podium in under 2 litres in the Nationals. Then we go to Reynolds. Simon O'Dell Fontana in the RX7. Gallen home in 6th. Cooper in 7th. Then it's LG in 8th. Saint in 9th. And Casado home in 10th. So that rounds out our under 2 litres for the 2016 Nationals. Thanks to the Asola de Capri.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us for the under 2 litre Nationals here on Blendline TV at Phillip Island. A huge congratulations to all of the competitors who got out there all weekend. Thank you to all of our officials and volunteers trackside, and to the 2016 Improved Production Victoria committee and management team for this event. Scott Welling and Gary McKay behind the scenes putting in a huge effort. I know a lot of people appreciate it. Also, thank you to Castrol Edge for coming on board, and Yokohama Tyres. They've put in a lot of financial aid and help with this race meeting. And thank you, Darren Smith, for joining me in commentary for this one. We'll be back with the over 2 litre final in just